Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, and I got another review, and this time it's for one of the hottest games that I played all summer, and that was true back when I played the demo the first time. It was true when I went to a media hands-on event, and it's true now even on release of the game. And of course, I'm talking about Shinobi Art of Vengeance, the first game in Sega's multi-game initiative to bring back some of its beloved IPs. Now, as we quickly saw with this game when it was announced at the Game Awards way back when with all the others, that, okay, this is going for that hand-drawn, nice-looking art style. In fact, it looks a whole lot like that Streets of Rage 4 game. Turns out we were dead on the money. Lizard Cube, the developer of Streets of Rage 4, one of the co-developers, I should say, is the main developer for Shinobi Art of Vengeance. And of course, the game is just as good as Streets of Rage 4. In fact, it's probably even better. So let's just get right off the bat here, since, some people are like, oh, I know people all about scores and stuff. This is the best Shinobi has ever been in its very long year history, which I find is kind of surprising. Some people are surprised to learn Shinobi's been around for a long time. Shinobi is older than Sonic. Shinobi is from the 80s, man. So Shinobi came from the arcades way back in the day when 16-bit was considered like extremely high tech. But yes, like Shinobi's an old, long-running franchise. Before, it used to be a much more rigid, carefully planned out sort of platformer. You sort of like move forward at a slow clip. You would throw shurikens. You would maybe in Shinobi 3 dive kick people or whatever. But before, Shinobi was very much a sort of like walk forward, hit enemy, try to avoid any obstacles, kind of like go on, move forward. Like the platforming was pretty simple. He had a double jump, but it was really weird to execute. And, it hit its peak, if you will, with the 2D side-scrolling old Shinobi, with Shinobi 3 on the Genesis. One of the best games on the systems, for sure. One of the most beautiful looking, too. But, yeah, Shinobi was always a sort of closer to a methodical run-and-gun, almost, more than it was like an actual like hack-and-slash. And then, of course, we did get a Devil May Cry style game on the PS2. We got two, actually, Shinobi and Nightshade on that. And then we had sort of some oddball, we had some other oddball attempts in between there. You had a live action sprite a la Mortal Kombat style 2D Shinobi on the Sega Saturn. You had a sort of like a reboot on the 3DS. But here, we're going in for sequel territory, much like Streets of Rage 4 was a true follow-up to Streets of Rage 3. This is also a true follow-up to Shinobi 3 with Art of Vengeance, both by Lizard Cube. And what they've done here is they've completely flipped the gameplay on its head. Now, this isn't to say like it just throws everything that was Shinobi away. Almost everything that was in classic Shinobi games is here in some form represented in Shinobi Art of Vengeance. But the gameplay, the core aspect of the gameplay has been flipped completely on its head. This is now a combo-heavy hack and slash. It's got near a fighting game level of depth and mechanics. When you are beating up on dudes, you're using your sword, you're getting in close, you're doing combos, you're doing launchers, you're doing OTGs, you're doing super moves, you're doing everything you can, to actually like get engaged in combat. You have dodges, you have like certain ninja magic where you can parry stuff, you have all kinds of stuff at your disposal. And again, like this goes further into it too, where it's not just, okay, enemies are not just damage sponges or just like HP sponges. Some of them will have armor, some of them will do like unblockable attacks. Some of them will have all kinds of stuff going in with it. And then there's also a stamina. There's a stamina Sekiro break gauge. So they have like a secondary bar that fills up as you're wailing on them. Say an enemy likes to block or an enemy's super armored or whatever. They have different like mechanics that do it. Or if they're armored, they actually don't get any of their stamina broken. But they have a stamina gauge. And if you break the stamina gauge before killing them, this little like symbol goes above their head. And that lets you initiate a one-hit kill move. Very much like Metal Gear Rising. So they throw a Metal Gear Rising mechanic in. You can even do that where you can beat an enemy down or break their stamina gauge, go onto another enemy, break theirs, and get a bunch of enemies with broken stamina gauges all at once, and then activate a big one-hit kill thing where he will zip across the screen like a lightning bolt and kill all of them in one hit. It's amazing. So the gameplay is very enticing. It's very hands-on. It's very much, I want to get you in there and I want you to start fighting. And again, they don't just have bullet sponge or damage sponge enemies who just soak it all up. You have a lot of different enemy types. And a lot of them will come in different variations too, where some of them may be armored, some of them may not be, you're gonna encounter all kinds of stuff in this game. There's actually a pretty decent enemy variety. Now there is, of course, the dreaded flying enemies, the dreaded projectile spamming enemies. But again, like the old Shinobi games, which almost were run and guns because they pretty much relied on you throwing your kunais in the old Shinobi. This game, you still have that. You still have the entire ability. You have, and you can get also you can get special moves like the old ones where you do a pinwheel of shurikens in a throw arc. But yeah, you can throw your kunais at enemies. You can, and there's a lot of enemies that go down in one hit. I mean, if you have a guy who has a jetpack and you throw a throwing knife at him and hit him, he'll actually fall out of the sky, which actually takes care of him briefly, so you can then go beat him up on the ground. Or if you have like these flying drones, usually they go down in about a hit, so you can just throw it. You can do this mid-air in the midst of your double jumps and air dashes. Another thing this game does to change up is that it is way more platform centric than the old Shinobis. There were platforming challenges, and they were challenges mostly because of how stiff and weird the double jump here. In the old games here, double jump is very easy, very understandable. You jump and then you jump again anytime you want. The old Shinobi, you had to wait till you were at the arc of a jump before you could double jump. You have a singular air dash here, and again, you can't use the air dash again until your feet land on the ground. So you have this sort of Celeste indie platformer aspect to it. And trust me, there are platforming segments. Now, in the game, you will, of course, encounter some crazy platforming areas, but there are hidden areas in each stage, and then there are these rift challenges. So you can find these portals, one in each level. Most of them are some sort of extreme version of a platforming challenge. Now, it took me a couple tries for each of them, 2, 3. Some of them took me a lot more, but for generally, and some of them I one-shotted. But you will have encounters in this game, optionally off the beaten path, that are going to really test your platforming skills. We're talking Celeste levels of indie platformer challenges. Now, they're not necessary to beat the game, but they are there. It is adding a little bit more flavor to Shinobi. It's not just run up, beat a wave of enemies, run up, beat another wave of enemies. And the nice thing is, too, is that the enemy encounters, they do it in all kinds of different areas, so you have different platforms that are sometimes in the air, rotating, spinning, almost like a Smash Brothers like design where you might encounter enemies on all kind of different levels above or below you, and you're going to have to jump up and down and deal with it in all these different ways. So again, they try to make the environment also a little bit more varied. There's no real environmental interaction. You can push blocks, that's about it. And of course you can hang on hooks, but yeah, this is keeping it pretty simple as far as that, because this is again a platformer. In fact, if there's any one thing, is that Shinobi is very clingy when it comes to the sides of walls. There are certain walls that you can use your ninja claws to literally hold on to and climb up and down. But otherwise, Shinobi will slowly descend a la Mega Man down any vertical surface. He can get a bit clingy with it. This only ever becomes a problem when you're doing some of the most intense platforming challenges at the very ass end of the game. I mean, the last level kind of end of the game. So you pretty much never have to worry about it, but there are some pretty tricky wall clingy challenges in the game, and he will stick onto them. So but of course you can wall jump off them because again this has platforming mechanics, and all that. So this game is a good 13 hours to 100%, 13, 14 hours depending, to do a full 100% run, which I've done. The combat never really gets old because again they do sort of this nice ramp up of introducing different enemy types to you, and then after they've mostly introduced most of the enemy types, they're going to start introducing all kinds of different variations of those enemies with different mechanics that you have to worry about or take care of. Again, armored versions or versions that are parried, and they're all color coded. It's all very smartly designed. Like if an enemy is going to do a different move than a similar based enemy, they'll be wearing a different color clothing. So you can look at an enemy and go, okay, that one's the armored one that throws out an unblockable, or that color enemy always counters. They throw out a counter stance. They go into like a counter stance. So you always kind of know. You can just look at things and just know what you're getting into right away. Or like, oh, this one does like the really big AoE attack or something. So they smartly designed every enemy in the game. You know what you're getting into, even when there's a crowd of enemies. It can get a little insane in some of the battle mode challenges. There's a couple fighting challenges. One of them to me was a little bit harder than the other, but like yeah, at that point, like when they throw 10 enemies at you at once on a small arena, yeah, it can get a little crazy, but that's kind of what your big giant AoE attacks are for. But yeah, it's just the combat's always fun. You're always trying to see how much you can do. There's a really cool reset option where if you dodge during a combo, and you can attack during the dodge, you can attack mid dodge, and that resets the combo. So you can reset your basically your combo setting, by spamming the dodge or using dodge, near the end of a combo and stuff. And there's a shop as well. So in each level, you have 5 or so different relics that you find, just singular relics, and you trade those relics to upgrade a shop. The shops are all around, and then you use the money you get, because everything drops money in this game. There's treasure chests full of money. You use the money to upgrade your combo abilities as well as all kinds of other moves. There's a bunch of different upgrades that are both gameplay and combo fighting game related. And it's not really too hard. As long as you're just playing the game, kind of just like seeking out everything, you can get it. A lot of people look at this game and think it's a Metroidvania, and it's really not a Metroidvania. It is stage-based, but the stages are enormous, and they do have lots of hidden secrets, and they do have a map on every level. And the map on every level, has checkpoints, fast travel areas, shops, and then a whole lot of hidden stuff all over the place. So you look at a map of a level and you think this is a Metroidvania, but it's not. It's like a very tiny mini Metroidvania, stage by stage. And again, you don't have to do this. You can just go through the game. The game is never sitting there like you need to stop and go do. There is one hidden super boss fight, if you do want to find everything of a particular item. You are going to have to do most everything in the game to get everything you need to do to unlock that. But again, this is a game that's not really necessarily pushing you have to do this Metroidvania stuff. It's just there on top of it. And one of the things that's pretty interesting is that as you go through the game, you're not going to be able to 100% every level, because you're going to get moves. Some of the moves you don't acquire through the shop. Some of the moves you acquire just by progressing the game. So you unlock stuff as you progress the game, which is also a push for pushing forward so you can get new moves. So say you get a move that lets you break through certain barriers that you couldn't before. In the first level, you're going to encounter things areas you can't get to because you do not have the ability, the special move to get through it that you will automatically get later on in the game. What's amazing about the map is that the map very, very clearly marks where there's a breakable wall. If you found a breakable wall, that breakable wall will be very much highlighted on the map. And it's an extremely generous fast travel system. You can fast travel just about any point. And again, you could just look through the levels very quickly, very, very quickly, and just be like, oh, it's there. Oh, it's over there. And you fast travel right to where things are. So I'd be like, oh man, all this stuff, you're going to have to keep track of it. I don't remember where it is. And the game is actually super good about letting you know where things are, or just in general area. There might be, even if you didn't encounter a wall that, an area that was like a secret area, or it held a secret, and it's like, but I don't know where it is. I didn't actually see it. The map actually like highlights it by just, this general area will be purple on the map or gold on the map. And it highlights something is there, even if you didn't come across it. If you didn't physically see it, if you're near enough of it, the map will be like purple on this area of the map and being like something was there. So you can use that like multiple ways to pinpoint where things are. So I can't in any way, shape, or form fault the level design here. There was a scant few times where I was like, where do I go? But it was never to the point of like complete utter frustration. So yeah, like an extremely good map system. It does its job super well, and the fast travel is very good. The checkpointing is good. Very rarely did I ever encounter checkpoints in the game that were like, oh, this is just too far between them. Like there was a couple moments very much near the end of the game where I'm like, okay, that was a little bit of a trek between checkpoint and checkpoint, but most of the time it's just very good. It's very solid. So. It is level based, but you can mostly just kind of go blitz through the level if you want to. But again, there's so much secrets and stuff, and you're going to want to unlock moves at the shop. So you're going to want to like beat up enemies. You're going to want to find, just general gold treasure chests. You're gonna want to do stuff to like make it happen for you. So all that being said, like, and also so let's talk about the music. Fantastic. T. Lopes does it. He's obviously an all-star remixer from Sonic Mania, but he's also just a great composer on his own. His original stuff's great. You should check out his channel on YouTube. But yeah, he what a Cinderella story coming up from that. He again, Sonic Mania is great. The Sonic racing games he did are also great. And he's doing Shinobi here. There's some guest tracks by Yuzo Koshiro of the original Shinobi. So you're going to hear some really great music. It's very much a sort of modern day, I want to say techno infused with a little bit of, I don't know. I mean, I actually don't know how to describe it. But yes, obviously very heavy, heavy beat techno, just pump you up kind of music. Very, very good. Sometimes it, goes into a sort of little like, yeah, let's go in a little classic Japanese, put some shamisen, put some flute stuff in there like classic Shinobi. So it's super fitting because Shinobi's always been sort of this oddball franchise where you have a ninja who lives in like a bamboo and grass hut, in the woods in Japan, but he fights against armed militia, modern day military, and he goes to like cyberpunk neon sign lit cities, and you're gonna fight demons and zombies and mutants and God knows what else. So yeah, Shinobi's always been sort of a hodgepodge of everything. He's gonna surf on a jet ski surfboard, stuff like that, and that's all still here. Well, and then another level he'll be riding on a horse, or in this case a wolf. So yeah, like Shinobi's always been just sort of like a hodgepodge of everything. The music kind of fits that, where it's like, yeah, we're going to have classic instrumentation, but we're also going to have all kinds of modern techno and electronica and all kinds of like crazy stuff, in the soundtrack for the modern beat. So music's amazing. Obviously the gameplay, I've talked about that. The animation, fantastic. You have a sort of Vanillaware like style of art history here from Lizard Cube. And it was kind of interesting for me to learn that both the director, Ben, I cannot pronounce his last name, or cannot remember or nor pronounce his last name at the moment, but we'll just call him Ben. The director is also the main character designer and artist. So it reminds me very much of both Daisuke from Arc System Works and George Kitamani from Vanillaware. Almost more Vanillaware. This is like France's Vanillaware Lizard Cube's turning into, especially when seeing how like the writer, director, main character, artist are all the same person. And I'm like, wow, what a similarity, what a crazy similarity to Arc System and Vanillaware. And it comes off beautifully. The game is gorgeous. I love that. And of course, shout outs to all of the animators at Lizard Cube, because the animation in this game is phenomenal. Like you could tell there was real love and passion put into this. This is like someone's like, I've been waiting my whole life to draw the coolest ninja shit fucking ever, and by God am I gonna do it. Just draw just Shinobi pulling out a scroll and summoning like ninja magic to summon a big dragon. I'm gonna make this look like the coolest fucking thing ever. Hopping over a wall, like climbing up scaffolding, climbing over or rolling over a box. We're gonna make it look stylish as fuck. So that is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. It was like someone was given the keys to say, take the thing that, like, what pumped you up the most as a 12-year-old boy? What made you, like, wake up in the morning? What made you, like, love life? Like, what is the hypest shit ever when you were 12? Okay, now I want you to go and put that in digital video game form, and we're going to sell it, for a not too high a cost, actually, at all. So that is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I know there were different price structures. There was like a digital deluxe version and a main one, but I don't think neither one of them were full price. So for a game that gives you pretty much a rock fucking solid 14 to 15 hours of fantastic gameplay, tons of stuff to unlock, 100%, lots of excellent level design, excellent music, excellent combat. You're looking at one of the best games this year, and all done for a pretty fair asking price. You're looking at a straight up, this is a 10 out of 10. That is my overall rating. I loved this game. I loved every fucking minute of this game. This game was fantastic. It's the best Shinobi has ever been. It looks the best Shinobi. It sounds the best. It fucking for sure plays the best Shinobi's ever played. This game was phenomenal. Sega's on a fucking hot streak this year. I already had one of my favorite games with Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, and now we got Shinobi Art of Vengeance, and that I'm hearing the Sonic Crossworld is also very good, and I can't fucking wait for Strangers in Heaven. Holy God, can I not wait for Strangers in Heaven. This is a great game. This is a 10 out of 10. This is one of the best games you should buy. If you only buy, a few games this year, you only have money for a couple, and I understand that completely. This one's fairly priced, and it's going to give you like the most polished, like, you know, best, one of the best gameplay experiences you're going to have all year. I loved this game. You really, I cannot hype it up anymore. I think everyone, just about everyone who ever had, loved being, loved playing Ninja or whatever, loved playing, TMNT or loved doing anything like that. You're going to enjoy the shit out of this game. The combat's phenomenal. Go check this game out. Highly recommend it. Loved it. And that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the channel. Later, dudes.